Right, guys, welcome back to Rob's Arcade. I am your host, Rob French, here in Rob's Arcade, where the games get played, the games get saved, so they get played. Soon to be in another place. I feel like my voice is echoing here in this empty room of our Rob's Arcade. It's nice that this apartment here still looks nicely uh, nicely decorated. Um, Once again, it's time for Rob's Monday show here on Rob's Arcade. It's where I just hang out with you guys and kind of catch up with you, talk about the weekend, see how your weekend was, and just kind of talk about life in general and what we have coming up for the next week. Which, man, this next week for my wife and I, the next two are just going to be whirlwinds, and then. After that, there's going to be a little bit of a whirlwind process once we get down to Florida. Hopefully, you guys have been catching up and listening and following on what's going on. If not, go back and watch some of the previous episodes. But yeah, my wife got a position down in Florida, so we'll be moving down to Brandon here in 2 weeks. Less than, actually, 2 weeks from now, we'll already be there. This is my last week at my job working at Vinny's Pizza Restaurant down in Short Pump. Really cool place. One of the best places I've ever worked at. I think everybody has days anywhere they work, really. Sorry, just drink a little coffee there. I can imagine that, you think you want to be an actor and, they've got it easy and, oh man, that's the life. Michael Jordan, oh man, he's got a life. Trust me, those guys have rough days too. They're not all easy. But Vinny's has always been a great place, and I try to remind the guys that I work with that yeah, it sucks sometimes, and it's not always the best, but really is one of the best places I've ever worked. The people are just really great, make you feel like family, and I think that goes a long way. Anywhere you work, it's just to make you feel happy and make it kind of feel like family. So it's a little rough. It kind of feels like that last week of school. Um, a little bittersweet. I already can tell you that my filter this week is going to be off. So really hoping I get some stupid questions and just stuff from customers. Can't wait. Um, I can't wait. I can't wait. What else is going on? I guess today we'll go ahead and wish Andrew a happy birthday, even though he's been a little punk lately. I don't know I guess what he's turning, like 19, I think, today, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me there. So yeah, happy birthday to him. He's definitely gonna be like one of my friends I'm gonna miss once we move to Florida. It's kind of funny. I think I've mentioned this before in another video, but it's wild. When I first started working there. He was bussing tables. He was just this kid in high school. He's graduated now and everything, but I never thought for a second that one of my best friends would be some punk kid fresh out of high school. But he's always been there. He's definitely, I'm gonna miss him. So definitely wishing him the best. He's actually working right now, and I'll be headed later this evening to hang out with him on his birthday. I know it's so sad you don't get off on your birthday, but guess what, dude? That's what being an adult is. You don't get off on your birthday. Birthdays, once you get to be a certain age, are no longer like, I think, at some point, it's like, oh, I want my birthday off. Like 21, that's an important one to have off. You want to be off on your 21st birthday. Um, but let's face it, like, there's certain birthdays you don't need to be off for. 19, 20, it's nothing. Those aren't really important. I guess 20 is kind of important because it's your last teen, but really 21's the one you want to focus on. 16, that's important. 30, those are important. The big O's, 40. But turning 42, do you think I need to have my birthday off? No, it's not a big deal. I guess you can tell I got my hair cut. This is not an exaggeration. I basically just have a little mohawk, and now I got a little buzz cut. This is very accurate actually to what I'm actually wearing right now, and I think the shirt is free for logging in. this bid for. You can't really see it. I'm wearing the stupid medallion. Um, but yeah, that's I think due this week. Just logging in, I think you get this free shirt, which is pretty cool. Um, my weekend was really fun. Saturday was, I think, the perfect last. That's my last closing shift on a Saturday. I got closed tonight. Tonight will be my last closing shift. Period. Saturday night, this past Saturday, was my last closing shift on a weekend, and that was freaking amazing. Absolutely, just one of the best closing nights I've ever had. And it wasn't too busy, just the right amount of people, got just on time. And my boy Tommy, Andrew's brother, actually is switching with me this weekend, so I don't have to close, just so I can, get up with some friends and family. And then also, I just don't want my last shift. It needs to be a closing shift, and walking out of a dark restaurant across a dark, empty parking lot, like I just can't imagine anything pressing that. Like I kind of want to leave in the midst of hustle and the bustle. Like I know I'm not going to get out like right at 8 o'clock or whatever. More like probably like 9. But I want to get out of the restaurant while there's still some life and some air. Um, Kind of seeing everybody, doing what they do, making pizzas and sandwiches and pastas, and not walking out the door with everything shut down, and or walking out and people, are scrubbing the grills and whatever. Like that's not what I want my last visual to be. So thank you, Tommy, for switching with me. You're awesome. I even mentioned it before they made the schedule, but like I said, nothing's perfect, but it is a really, really great place. I really am going to miss it. And I think tonight will be the last night I work with my friend Sean. He's been really great. It was really funny when I first started working with this guy. I had no idea that we would get along so well. But it was just like one day we were talking, and he didn't, I guess, seem like a guy who was into necessarily like the comics and the sci-fi and all the gaming and stuff. He seemed very, um, I don't know how to just, I don't want to say like more like an intellectual type who just might enjoy reading, or I don't know, more like the finer things, a little bit more of a reserved interest. But just talking with him one day, we start talking about Thor, and not just the movie, but different aspects of the comics, and then X-Men, and just all kinds of different things in Star Wars. And just Sean became a very good friend at work, and really helped pass the times um, while we were there. Because honestly, like everybody speaks Italian or they speak Spanish, and it's so funny. So many days I would come in, and everybody's like talking to each other, and hey, blah 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 blah, just going on in Spanish and Italian. And then finally, like 40 minutes would go by, or an hour, and they would be like, Robert, you're really quiet. Is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. They're like, oh, you're just not talking. And I'm like, well, I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. Just not picking up keywords, but I don't know what's going on. So having Sean there was always really fun, because, like I said, we could just kind of geek out and talk about different theories, especially like, as different Star Wars movies were coming out, and, um, different series were available. Um, Fun to always just kind of kick back with him and shoot theories back and forth of what we thought um, might happen, and we were wrong. Um, I've kind of gotten to the point actually when it comes to these theories and stuff that gosh, is it even like so many times we come up with ideas of what we think is going to happen, and it's like, gosh, we were so way off. But it was always fun just kind of hanging out and just passing the time with him at work. And actually, he hasn't really been working that much. Only been helping out here and there, so I haven't really seen a whole lot of him. But tonight will be my last shift hanging out with Sean. Got him some really cool comics. Hopefully he'll like those. And typically, I like to come to you guys too with like a topic, but I don't know if I'm. I think I'm just going to kind of rap to you guys and just kind of let you guys know what's just going on, just in general, just kind of like. Um, Actually, my cousin hit me with a good. Actually, my cousin hit me with a good little topic real quick, and we're talking about this with this move, and it's like the after this week. Like I said, it's last week at work. I'm trying to find a book here because here we go. A really important. Things got a really important. And it don't look at me like that, Beta. Um, my cousin was talking about maybe sharing your scariest, your happiest, and your saddest moments, your angriest moments in life. And I mean, that's a lot to cover. That's a lot of material. Heck, I can make a whole hour-long segment out of all of those different things. Um, but he brings up something fun to talk about, and the scariest moments, and the happiest, and the saddest, and like really this whole moment right here, I think really encompasses that whole bit. This is truly like these next 2 weeks, these next few weeks are going to be the happiest moments in my life. Starting this new, um, starting this new chapter. It's also very scary. I don't know if it's the scariest moment, but definitely one of the scariest. It's extremely sad. Um, I'm just reading off this list of stuff that he texts me here. It's extremely sad, leaving all my friends behind, my family, my job, and all of this. Um, but angry. There's some angry stuff in there too. But like I said, I think it's going to be very exciting and one of the most fun moments. This is something my wife and we've been talking about doing for a long time, and it was something that we didn't think we'd be doing for a very long time. And now we find ourselves, like I said, my cousin was snapping me earlier, and he said some great stuff in the snaps. Um, but Holden said something really great when he's like, "I'm going to blink my eyes and I'm going to be there," and that's something I keep telling everybody as well. Like every time I talk to a customer at work or family. I was hanging out with my aunt Rebecca yesterday, and my cousin and her kids and her husband, and um, we talk about it's like, gosh, it's like 2 weeks. It's incredible. My cousin Holden again. He's blown away by how quickly it's coming, and my friends are like, well, let's come over, let's hang out in your game room, and I'm like, dude, it's packed up, and like it is rolling extremely quick, and I keep saying the same thing. I'm going to blink, and I'm going to see the sign for Georgia, and then I'm going to blink again, and there's going to be the sign, "Welcome to Florida," and it's insane. But yeah, he said that earlier, and he's very, very true because it's going to happen. We're going to be there before you know it. Um, and as you know, like I like to collect comics. One of my other shows that I like to do on Wednesday is the midweek breakdown, where I go collect comics. And one of the comics that I've been collecting for years is Spawn by Todd McFarlane, and he's actually he's revolutionary and very much like a Stan Lee in his own right, and he's very very much responsible and key for the creation of Image Comics. And his Spawn, excuse me, his Spawn character is just one of the like me. I should probably do an episode about this guy, but it's one of the longest running independent. I think not the longest running independent comic book in all history of all comic books everywhere. And he's amazing at what he does, and he's now branching out to do the Spawns universe, which is kind of like the Marvel universe and the DC universe, I believe, of like kind of like the Image world. And so he's branching out and doing all this new stuff. And just finished reading his Spawn number 318, and there's a great interview in the back where he starts to break down um, in the spawning ground, the Spawn's universe, which I have also just picked up, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. But in the interview, he says something very key, and I just want to go ahead and quote him in regards of the question when asked, what are you most excited about with the upcoming Spawns universe? And he goes on just to talk about, there's the past 3 decades and how it all kind of starts with the Spawn #1 way back in '92. But there's one line right here, the kind of at the end of the interview, where he says, "The unknown can be a thrilling ride if you aren't scared of it." And I was reading that this weekend, and it just resonated so well and so much with what's going on in my own life right now. And this can be a scary thing, but I think the rest of everything else, it is just the excitement and the happiness behind it is going to make this next move like one of the oh gosh, it's one of the most amazing chapters in the book of my wife and I. And that's something else too. My wife, when we first got together, we were both living with our mothers, ironically. And her mother and Carrie Ann are very, very close. In fact, when uh, her mom just recently moved to South Jersey, it reminded me very much of like a Gilmore Girls kind of thing, where like they're so so much alike, and just I mean I think um, the #1 command my wife has Siri do is um, you know call her mother, but hopefully my phone doesn't go off right now. I just thought about that. Okay, yeah, it'd be good. I got to tell that story. My phone starts calling my mom. Um, but yeah, they're super super duper um, close, and we decided at some point that maybe Carrie Ann and I would get her own place, but until then maybe she could move in with my mom and I. Uh, and so there was that for a little while, and then we had our own house for a bit, which was nice. It wasn't the greatest house, and our our landlords were, man, they were out there. I could do a whole story on the maybe remind me next season to tell the story of the landlords over on Lakeside, because that's like an IDTV series right there. Um, and then right after we got this house, and we've had my dad stay with us, and it hasn't been awful by any means, but we definitely haven't had a chance to experience a life that's just us. I think with the closeness with her and her mother, and me and my mom, and then living with my dad, there just hasn't been any room for us just to kind of experience life on our own without the direct oversight of our parenting figures, either right here in the same house or just right down the road. um, which, and I think it's just, again, some people might see that as kind of scary, like, oh wow, you've had these parents here your whole life, and they've always been like basically, there hasn't been much that I can't just like text my mom and say, hey, do you have this? Can I borrow this? Regardless of what it is, and it's always been like that throughout the years, and so. That in itself can be kind of scary, like, okay, well, what happens when it is just me and her, and something arises where I can already think, like, so often, especially with our dogs, my mom has always been a huge help. um, Even my dad living here, my mom would stay at the house just to be an extra set of hands to help out around um, with the dogs and just helping out my dad and everything else. So there's a situation right there. And her mom, the same thing, like, if she needs a ride somewhere, if she's ever needed anything, she can always just kind of call her mom to come by and come pick this up or do this or whatever. And so just that being something we have to deal with, or once we get down there, there's nobody to really help out, watch our dog, or um, pick us up if we need a ride. Like, basically it's really just going to depend on Carrie Ann and myself. And she's got friends and family there. I mean, like, we're not going to be completely alone. She's got a lot of family in Tampa. But at the same time, it's not like, well, my mom's like you know, 10 minutes away via the interstate. So big, big, big difference. But uh, it's, I think, one of the best decisions my wife has ever made. Um, and this was, probably something I wouldn't do on my own. But I think it's going to be one of the best things we ever did. And like I said, I went to my aunt's yesterday and hung out with her, and she said the same thing. Like that, she just feels that Carrie Ann and I, with our personalities and just how we like to vacation, and we're about the Disney life, and all of that. Like, why wouldn't we, surround ourselves with what we enjoy? We're so close to where we actually got married, and just I don't know. It all makes so much sense, and it was really nice to hear Rebecca kind of mention that, because that's kind of how I feel too. Like, I really feel like, if my wife was like, "Hey, let's move to New York, or let's move here, or let's move there," like, I would do it, but I don't know if it'd be like, okay, was that us? Like, is that really like the life that we're about? Like, I don't know. Like, we've kind of gotten away from just the city life here. Like, I feel like the city life here is just too much. Yeah, I don't know how much we would enjoy something like that, or um, I don't know. I feel like any further north, getting away from Disney for her would just be a bad idea. But my point is, I just feel like that area and that whole vibe. Like, I don't know, every time we go down, um, I always find it hilarious that, especially when we're staying with her family, her aunt Marlene, I love her to death, and she always feels like, do you need to be doing something? Do you need to be going out? Like, or are you bored? Kind of a thing. She's always worried, I think, that we're bored, and it's just always amazing to me that, like, I don't know, as soon as I get to Tampa and I get on her back porch and I'm sitting by the pool, and I've got my bubbler, or my little one toker, and a cup of coffee and a Stephen King book. It's perfect. Like, I don't really need anything else, and I feel very relaxed and very at home. And I don't think that's very achievable. A lot of times when you're on vacation, I think a lot of times when you're on vacation, you do feel like, when we're at Disney, we're staying at Disney. I feel like we're staying somewhere. Like, excuse me, I'm relaxed and I'm having a great time. But at the same time, you're staying at a resort, and it's not like the exact comforts of how you would feel necessarily at home. And even staying sometimes with family, it can be very much the same, notion where, you go and stay, let's say, with, your aunt and uncle and the cousins, and, you have a great time on vacation, and it's like, oh yeah, you've got your own space and you've got your own area and you can do what you want, but it's not quite like home. And it's not like that. Like I said, as soon as I pull into Florida, and I guess maybe it's because we vacation there so much, but it's almost like I said, as soon as I pull in there, I just feel like at home, and very comfortable, and um, it does feel like it's kind of almost like a no-brainer. Um, like, that would be ultimately, like, so my wife being from there, she's always wanted to get back home. So I know she's uh, excited for that. And even though we don't have a lot of friends right down the street from us, like I said, she's got a bunch of friends waiting for her down there, and they're actually really sweet, because um, she's talked to them, and they're already talking about stuff that they want to do with Carrie Ann once. Uh, that's our four telling me we need to wrap this up. But yeah, she's got her friends down there already, setting up plans, and waiting to do stuff, which I think is just very, very, very sweet. So she's got a big support group, and she's my big support group. So I think we'll be okay. But yeah, I don't really have like a major topic for you guys. Just kind of want to put everything out there, just kind of everything that's going on. And like I said, dude, I got this one last week, man. One last week of work, and we got a nice dinner on Wednesday, some family and some friends. Then after the 4th of July, we got that final week. So it's crazy. And it's not even, you can't really say it's like a full week. So 4th of July is what? Sunday. My last day of work is the 3rd, which is ironic. Celebrate your independence by quitting your job. So I won't be working on the 4th, but then you got to look at it like we don't get that full week come Monday. So we get Monday, we get Tuesday, we get Wednesday, Thursday, and then come Friday we will be on the road. Now the nice thing is we're breaking up the trip. We've already got the hotel in Savannah. I'll be driving the truck. My wife will be driving the car. She'll have the dog with her, heavily sedated dog with her, and we won't have to just like jump up and leave. But we won't have that full day Friday either. So, like I said, when you think about it, really this is our last full week. This is it right here. This is probably the second to the last. You'll probably get one more Monday show this season. You'll probably get two more midweek breakdowns. You'll get a midweek breakdown this week, and then next week will probably be the last midweek breakdown and possibly the season finale, because that will also be my last trip to Richmond Comics, and I think that's going to be a pretty special, pretty serious episode. So thanks for hanging out, guys. Like I said, click that like button, click that share button, hit that comment section. Let me know what you guys thought of today's episode. If you guys had a good weekend. It's just one of those things, like, hanging out with Rebecca and my cousins, like, it's the last time I'm going to see some of these guys for quite some time. So, well, it's just interesting because we didn't really see a lot of each other during this whole pandemic. So thank you, coronavirus, for helping us get used to long distance relationships with our family here. And again, thank you guys so much for hanging out in what is going to be one of the last Monday shows here on this season. But do not fear, this is not goodbye. This is merely to be continued. Next season we'll have some great new locales, some great new ideas and episodes coming at you. But until next time, guys, remember, don't spend that quarter anywhere else. Thanks for hanging out.